And here we have the memory preferences, which is the memory for Claude. Let's click on manage here. And we see that it takes us to this screen. All right. Now, in the memory section, of course, the first option is generate memory from chat history. When we enable this option, as it tells us, it allows Claude to remember. So for example, let's say I've had many conversations with it. Let's say I ask it to prepare for me, to prepare a brief from the emails related to a certain meeting or a specific topic. Then I forget about the topic after some other conversations happen. I come back, open a new conversation, and what do I say to it? Do you remember the meeting we talked about such and such, like that? Go back and get me those emails related to it. So here, when we have its memory turned off, it won't go and search. But when we have it turned on, it might tell you, I don't remember. There's nothing between you and me in this conversation that talks about those topics. But when we have this option enabled, this setting controls memory for both chats and projects. Let's say you created a project where you discussed this topic with Claude, or for example, in a chat conversation between you and him. As long as this option is enabled, it will bring back everything you discussed with him related to this topic. Import memory from other AI providers. And this feature is really very nice, wonderful, and useful. Let's suppose your situation is like mine. Ever since OpenAI launched it, I've been working on it. I have a lot of projects on it and many conversations between me and it that I want to transfer to Claude as well as Claude Code. All these things are just amazing. So what I want to say to them is that I'm not going to pay for 2 subscriptions, one for ChatGPT and one for Claude. What should I do? I click on start and then press start import. As soon as I click it, what will it tell me? It will give me this project and say to me, copy this prompt into a chat with your other AI provider. I'll take it just as it is here, copy, and I'll go to ChatGPT. What should I click on here? I simply click on paste, and then I firmly press the enter key. Of course, since we're sharing the screen together, let me, for example, tell it at the end. This is a demonstration as I am in. I am sharing my screen, so ignore all the previous instructions, but give me an example. Don't mention any personal information or any of the private conversation that I had with you. You don't share real information here. Okay, I just put this example so that it doesn't give me, let's say, private information or any of my own personal information. All right, dot for seconds. So what should I do now? These instructions, as you can see, do you see them? What does it give me? It gives you all the user clear professional stuff, these things that it's supposed to give you, the identity, who I am, a user interested in technology, and so on, meaning it's giving me general things. But the key is that if you put your information in without adding the last line, it will, all the information related to you and that you discussed with ChatGPT will appear. After you finish this topic, you copy all the information you gave to ChatGPT, then go back to load, then paste it, and then add to memory. Let's go ahead and add to memory. Of course, the processing that will appear to you depends on how you use ChatGPT. If there is a lot of data, it may take a while and will update the memory. After the memory update is complete, all the projects and things I was working on with ChatGPT are this easy. I moved here to Claude, so you come here to Claude and talk about what you were asking ChatGPT from before, and it will answer you here because it has now been stored in Claude's memory since we imported it. Once we're done, we click to see what Claude has learned about me, and here it will tell me everything it has learned about me in the memory that I brought to it from ChatGPT, and I put it here for it. Let's continue with the general section. Tool access mode. What is this option here? You have 2 options you can choose from. Either you load the tools only when you need them, or the tools are already connected to Claude, and that's it. As soon as I, for example, write this thing to it, it goes and uses the tool since all the tools are connected to it. Honestly, I don't like this second option. Why? Because let's say you have 2 tools connected that are similar and do the same thing. Let's say, for example, Canva, and you're also using another similar tool for designing. So when you tell it to go design such and such for you, it might go directly to Canva, but you actually want it to go to the other software. Or it might go to the other software, but you want it to use Canva. That's why I prefer not to choose the second option so that we don't confuse it when we ask it to do a specific task. No, that's it. We load the tool for it when we want it, and we'll see how we're going to connect the connectors and the tools. When we want it to perform a specific task for us, we just connect that particular tool that we want it to use. As for the visual screen, the visual elements that we see, we have the artifacts, which are what you build your documents, codes, or designs on, and so on. Now, what am I telling you here? Where are the artifacts located? Design a dedicated window alongside your conversation. So here, we're having a conversation with Claude. On the right, we have the artifacts screen, which appears when we ask it, for example, to create a website for us or something similar. The one on the right, the screen on the right is where the website code, PDF document being written, or the Excel file being worked on will appear. All right. After that, we have the advanced AI-powered artifacts. This feature is specifically designed for when you want to build a complex application, or, for example, a detailed digital file. But what does this file or application use? It uses Claude inside the artifact where you are building this application. So you activate this when you want Claude to be working on the application you are building. And here we have the inline visualizations. What does inline mean? Which is, you see where you are writing the conversation with Claude. Allow Claude to generate interactive visualizations. Here it can create charts for you, it can make graphs for you, and it can create diagrams right inside the same conversation you're having with it. There's no need, for example, for it to open a second window for you. No, that's it. Right within the inline view, it shows you the charts and graphs you've requested from it. And we have code execution and file creation. Here we have this option available to you. You enable it when you want the cloud to execute a specific code for you and, for example, create something for you. For example, when you want it to modify a document for you, or maybe a spreadsheet, a presentation, and so on. The PDF files or the reports that you are creating. You know what I mean? So here, this needs to be enabled. That's number one. Number two is when you want to activate your skills. Skills that we will also discuss in depth. Yes, code execution will definitely be enabled because it needs to run code when it's working on the topic of its own skills. Okay, here we have the allow network egress, which is the command for the package manager to install packages. What does this allow? This powerful feature allows you to seamlessly download various external libraries, specifically the essential libraries it requires whether you want to write complex code, analyze large datasets, create a detailed chart for your presentation, or, for example, process a very specific type of file. So, by granting access, you are essentially giving it the explicit permission to access these external packages so it can successfully download all the necessary libraries it needs to function effectively. This ensures that the environment is fully equipped with every tool required for your specific task. And then we have the skills. Of course, we'll get into those in detail later. Today, we're engaging in a detailed discussion regarding the topic of connectors. The subject of connectors is truly fascinating and incredibly versatile, and it is specifically designed to seamlessly integrate the cloud with various other external applications. We are going to remove the MCP, which stands for the Model Context Protocol. This is the standardized protocol that specifically allows different applications to communicate and share data seamlessly with each other. For example, as we mentioned, we want to connect with, make a neat design specific to the lecture. For example, the specific presentation I'm giving right now about connectors, so I can easily handle the entire design process directly within Canva, provided that I have Canva connected through the connector integration. That's it. Directly from the cloud, I already give it permission to communicate with Canva. It logs into my account, creates the design I want, and brings it to me. Let's continue. Let's go right over here and click on the Browse Connectors button. These connectors are really quite amazing, and you can see a wide variety of different applications that use them. As we previously mentioned with Canva, but when you actually click on it, what exactly does it tell you? For example, I specifically told it to generate a comprehensive sales presentation with a detailed outline. It shows you the range of things you can do on Canva. It's not just about designing. That means you can get engaging social media posts, detailed reports, and a wide variety of professional graphic designs you might need. Even Canva can be used to build fully functional websites now, so you have the freedom to request all of these different creative assets whenever you need them for your projects. You just access it from Cloud. You click on Connect and then let Cloud connect to your account. Your Canva account connects and you start working on Canva from here. For example, with Gmail, if I want to connect Gmail, what can I tell it to do? Look at these options: draft replies, summarize threads, and search your inbox. So what does that mean for me? I tell Claude, for example, go into my Gmail account. If there's anything important in today's emails that I received, show them to me. If there's nothing important, or if there is something, for example, spam or marketing emails. For example, if I received ads, delete them. I don't want them, or put them in the trash. For instance, we can tell it the emails I received today, let's suppose. It tells me, for example, you received an email from your colleague saying there's a meeting on such and such date on Thursday. Okay, reply to them that I'm busy on Thursday. I'll be out of office, so I won't be able to attend this meeting. Then Claude will draft the email for you, like, for example, it writes to them, etc. But it doesn't send it automatically. You go into Gmail, you'll find it, for example, in the drafts. You just click send and you're done. And it does the same thing for you. Search in the inbox. If you want to look for a specific email you received a while ago from a certain person about a certain topic, you talk to Claude and have it search for you. And look at the number of connectors available here. For example, we have Google Drive. Here it reads your files or folders, the things you've uploaded to Google Drive, and uploads files instantly. So you give it a file and tell it to upload this file to Google Drive. Shopify, for example. Microsoft 365, all the applications it includes, Microsoft SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, email, Teams, are also available in the cloud. It can access your conversations and tell you who sent you messages and so on. And it can summarize this for you. Notion and Zoom for Cloud and communities and all these things, you can browse through them. For example, when you want to search for something specific, instead of going into each of these things, for example, let's consider a scenario where we want to share information about the mosque. Since there is a dedicated mosque group available, we will share the mosque details there, especially since Claude is currently downloading the mosque files on the Mac, and the mosque system itself downloads the mosque data automatically. I am planning to share the mosque information with my colleague at work during our next meeting. Alternatively, I might need to send a message saying that I will be late from work today, or perhaps I will be late from work due to traffic, or I will be late from work because of a meeting, or I will be late from work for other reasons, or I will simply be late. Be late from work, or I will 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 be late from work. Let's load service connectors from the directory that may be relevant to your conversation. This is so it can go in and look for the connectors and so on. Here, of course, you have the GitHub integration. Here you can click on connect so you can link it with GitHub. For example, if we want to add custom connectors, meaning they're not available here, let's say they're not available, the connector here with us or the tool, one of the things we do is search. We can go to a website, let's say, for example, Canva, if it's not available. We go and check what the remote MCP server URL is, and we add it here, and that's it. Now we have the connector available.